Right. Let's talk about aeroplanes. The marvels of modern engineering that crisscross our skies, connecting continents and powering economies. But behind every smooth takeoff and landing, there's a world of high-stakes business, fierce negotiations, and personalities that can make or break billion-dollar deals. And at the heart of it all are the people who build these flying machines, and those who buy them, betting their fortunes and reputations on every order. In one corner, you have Boeing, the American manufacturing titan, a company that's been shaping the aviation industry for over a century, with a reputation built on innovation, reliability, and sheer scale. In the other, Michael O'Leary, Ryanair's famously outspoken CEO, a man who's never shied away from controversy or a good fight, especially when his airline's future is on the line. For years, these two giants maintained a working relationship, sometimes tense, often transactional, but always essential. Ryanair needed planes, Boeing needed customers. But recently, that relationship has soured, erupting into a public, messy breakup that's played out in headlines and boardrooms around the world. O'Leary, exasperated by repeated delivery delays that threatened to derail Ryanair's crucial summer schedule, didn't just grumble behind closed doors. He launched a global media offensive, calling Boeing a pain in the backside, slamming their management, and making sure everyone knew exactly who was to blame. He painted a vivid picture of Boeing as a supplier in chaos, struggling to deliver finished planes on time, leaving airlines like Ryanair in the lurch and scrambling to adjust their plans. Imagine ordering 150 pizzas for over $100 million each, only to receive empty boxes and a vague promise that the toppings will arrive next week. That's the absurd reality O'Leary says he's facing, except the stakes are far higher than a missed dinner. His frustration wasn't just vented for show, it became a strategic weapon wielded with precision to put maximum pressure on Boeing's leadership. By dragging Boeing's dirty laundry into the spotlight, O'Leary forced the company to respond in ways that private negotiations never could. Suddenly, the world was watching, and so were Boeing's other customers. For Ryanair, the stakes couldn't be higher. Their entire business model, offering cheap flights expanding rapidly across Europe, depends on a steady stream of new fuel-efficient aircraft arriving on time. Without those planes, Ryanair's growth stalls, costs rise, and the low fares passengers love become impossible to sustain. The whole strategy wobbles, threatening years of hard-won progress. The delays weren't just inconvenient, they were existential, putting Ryanair's future, its staff, and its millions of passengers at risk. So O'Leary did what he does best. He made a scene, transforming a logistical nightmare into a global headline, and making sure the world knew exactly who was responsible. Investors, holidaymakers, and industry insiders all took notice. Suddenly, Boeing's problems weren't just Ryanair's, they were everyone's. The message was crystal clear. Boeing, get your act together, or O'Leary will make your life hell, and he'll do it in front of the whole world. This was more than just business. For O'Leary and Boeing, it had become a high-stakes war, one where reputation, billions of dollars, and the future of air travel itself were all on the line. Why was Boeing struggling so badly? The answer isn't simple. It's a story of mounting pressure, missed opportunities, and a series of missteps that snowballed into disaster. This wasn't just a bad year for Boeing, it was a full-blown corporate catastrophe, the kind that shakes an entire industry to its core. Production nightmares, regulatory crackdowns, and labor strikes collided all at once, creating a perfect storm that no one saw coming. The relentless pressure to churn out 737 MAX jets and keep up with Airbus forced Boeing to cut corners, sacrificing quality for speed. Reports soon surfaced of shoddy workmanship, missed safety checks, and chaos on the factory floor. Employees described a workplace in turmoil where mistakes piled up and morale plummeted. Then, in September 2024, the situation boiled over. A major strike erupted, halting production as thousands of workers demanded better pay, safer conditions, and respect from management. The strike pushed delivery schedules back even further, leaving airlines frustrated and customers waiting. The crisis only deepened as the backlog of unfinished planes grew. Meanwhile, US regulators, alarmed by a string of safety incidents, stepped in. They capped Boeing's production, demanding proof that the company could build planes safely before allowing output to increase. So, Boeing faced a broken production line, a demoralized workforce, and government watchdogs breathing down its neck. Every part of the company was under intense scrutiny. In the midst of all this chaos, it's almost a miracle that any planes left the factory at all. Each completed jet was a small victory against overwhelming odds. This wasn't just bad luck or a rough patch, it was a systemic failure, exposing deep flaws in Boeing's culture, leadership, and priorities. Of all Boeing's nightmares, one incident became the symbol of its crisis. It was a moment that would forever be etched in the annals of aviation history. In early 2024, an Alaska Airlines flight lost a door plug at 16,000 feet. A chunk of the fuselage just fell off. The incident sent shockwaves through the aviation community. Miraculously, no one was hurt, but Boeing's credibility took a massive hit. Passengers were left in a state of shock, and the media had a field day. The FAA grounded nearly 737 MAX 9s for emergency inspections. This was a drastic measure, but one that was deemed absolutely necessary. The likely cause? Bolts meant to hold the door plug was simply missing. This glaring oversight raised serious questions about Boeing's quality control. This shocking lapse showed basic safety checks were being ignored. It was a wake-up call for the entire industry. Regulators cracked down, capping Boeing's production and demanding proof of safety. The scrutiny was intense and the pressure was mounting. Even then, Boeing struggled to meet the reduced target. The production line slowed to a crawl, and the once bustling hangars were eerily quiet. For customers like Ryanair, the queue for new planes just got longer. Airlines were growing increasingly frustrated with the delays. The Alaska Airlines incident wasn't a fluke, it was a symptom of deeper problems. Analysts began to dig deeper into Boeing's practices. It gave critics like O'Leary all the ammunition they needed. The fallout was immense, and Boeing's reputation was left in tatters. For Ryanair, Boeing's failures were a body blow. Ryanair's growth depends on a constant influx of new planes. When that stopped, so did expansion. For summer 2025, Ryanair was short by 30 aircraft, 30 planes that should have been flying stuck unfinished in a factory. Forced to accept delayed planes after the summer rush, Ryanair's plans were derailed. Fewer planes meant fewer passengers and less revenue. Ryanair slashed its 2025 forecast by 5 million passengers. Profits fell 18% in the first half of 2024, directly linked to Boeing's chaos. Compensation from Boeing? Modest, according to O'Leary. The delays weren't just numbers, they meant cancelled routes and lost edge. Frustration was boiling over, setting the stage for a public spectacle. Faced with crisis, O'Leary didn't negotiate quietly. He went on the attack. He turned a commercial dispute into a PR nightmare for Boeing, using the media as his megaphone. O'Leary's playbook: identify the problem, frame it in blunt terms, and hammer the message home. His soundbites, pain in the backside, they disappoint us, were designed for headlines. He kept the pressure on, making sure Boeing's failures stayed in the news. This relentless criticism served two purposes. It pressured Boeing and managed public perception for Ryanair. By blaming Boeing, O'Leary deflected blame from his own airline. He positioned Ryanair as a victim, not a failure. It was a clever move. He controlled the narrative. O'Leary wasn't just fighting for planes, he was winning a PR war, and Boeing couldn't ignore him. Just when things couldn't get messier, politics entered the fray. In March 2025, Ryanair and Boeing discussed the risk of US-EU aircraft tariffs if Trump returned to office. Boeing's new management downplayed the risk, but O'Leary wasn't convinced. He went public saying he couldn't rule out tariffs, a subtle but pointed challenge to Boeing's optimism. O'Leary signaled to the market that he had a more realistic grasp of risk than Boeing. This wasn't just about politics, it was a power play. O'Leary cast doubt on Boeing's judgment, highlighting deep mistrust. He scrutinized everything, from bolts to trade policy, and wasn't shy about sharing his doubts. Under relentless pressure, Boeing finally changed its leadership in 2025. Kelly Ortberg became CEO. Stephanie Pope took over commercial airplanes. The message: new leaders, new promises, a renewed focus on safety and quality. But was it real change, or just window dressing? O'Leary remained skeptical. He'd been burned before and wanted proof, not promises. The new team inherited a company in crisis, a broken culture, angry customers, and regulators watching closely. Changing the names on the doors was easy. The real challenge was fixing Boeing's DNA. The world and O'Leary watched to see if actions would finally match words. Amidst the chaos, there were faint signs of hope. Even O'Leary admitted delivery quality had improved slightly. The scrutiny seemed to be working. Planes leaving the factory were better built. O'Leary adopted a cautious wait-and-see approach with the new leadership, especially Stephanie Pope. The relationship shifted from open warfare to uneasy truce. Boeing and Ryanair struck a deal. If the MAX 10 isn't certified by 2025, Ryanair gets more MAX 8200s by 2027. Still, O'Leary's skepticism lingered. He doubted the MAX 10 would arrive before 2027. Praise was always followed by warning. Trust was slow to rebuild. The glimmers of hope shone through a thick fog of mistrust. The O'Leary-Boeing standoff is more than a buyer-seller spat. It's a warning for the entire aviation industry. It's about corporate hubris, regulatory failure, and the ripple effects when a major manufacturer stumbles. Boeing must rebuild its reputation for safety and quality while ramping up production. Every new plane will be scrutinized, every promise measured. For Ryanair, growth is on hold, not by competition, but by supplier failure. O'Leary will keep the pressure on, acting as Boeing's public auditor. The dynamic has shifted from partnership to probation. This saga exposes the fragility of the global supply chain and the dangers of a duopoly. O'Leary's truth bombs revealed a fundamental weakness in aviation. The standoff isn't over, and its outcome will shape the future of air travel.